Princess Tia Beanie Melabini de la Rochambeau-Grunkwitz of Dreamland is not your typical princess. She'd rather go out carousing and having fun than participating in any royal duties or getting into any arranged marriages, which she unfortunately has to be doing after she accidentally causes her first fiancé to be impaled on the Throne of Swords, after which the second fiancé gets turned into a pig. Really, Tia Beanie would rather just go out hanging with her good elf friend Elfo and personal demon Luci, causing various chaos, much to the chagrin of her father Zog and stepmother Una, rulers of Dreamland. However, it turns out Elfo's blood might hold the secret to immortality, which means he's of great import to Zog, so they can't be off going far, so this is Disenchantment, I guess. And yeah, I know I'm a little late to the game on this one, but like I said, I get busy sometimes, and I have seen a lot of reviews, and so many were down. I just kind of piqued my interest, not to mention having done the Futurama Comics review and the Random Trade review. So I figured, hey, this was as good a time as any. And I think a lot of the critics were maybe a little too hard on this show. I didn't think it was nearly as bad as a lot of people made it out to be. I guess people were expecting something in the vein of Futurama, where Futurama was a humorous take on science fiction, and this would be a bit more of a humorous take, or humorous deconstruction of fantasy tropes, but I think it's actually skewing a little bit darker. In fact, this thing is supposed to be rated TV, this thing is rated TV-14. I wonder if it was initially pitched as being mature rated, because there's a lot of stuff in here. They want to go a lot darker than they are. And in fact, towards the end of the season, it actually the storylines do start to take a bit more of a darker turn. Like I said, Elfo is this character. He leaves his elf kind because they're like the Smurfs, where they're just obscenely happy and to the point of his own disgust. But he still has a girlfriend there, and yet he still kind of acts very elf-like as he wanders into the kingdom. And they go through finding out a lot of things. Like at one point too, an exorcist is brought in to deal with Luci, because Luci sort of possesses Tia Beanie, and the exorcist Big Joe plays a big role. The Prime Minister Avdol plays a big role, and it turns out too, Princess Bean's mother, Dagmar, who was the great love of Zog's life, was turned to stone after a failed assassination attempt on the king. And here's the thing. Early on, it's hinted that, it's basically shown that someone sent Luci to Bean as a wedding gift for her first marriage to Gesamir of Bentwood. And there are these puppet masters. I thought, oh, one of the puppet masters is clearly going to be revealed to be Dagmar. But no, actually, Dagmar was turned to stone, and the stone statue that Bean thought was her mother's grave is in fact her mother. And there's something that happens later on I'll get to. Other than that, though, again, it's kind of I'd almost say weekly shenanigans. Like, I think the other problem is this series might be a little too tight. It's a little too episodic for the binge-watching culture that is Netflix. I think it would be better if they had maybe had a more full arc. This actually is not the first season. This is just part 1. And I wonder if maybe we could have stretched out like the royal engagements and the arranged marriage for 2 or 3 episodes, and that would have maybe added just a little bit more to this. Also, there's Bean can be interesting at times, but other times it's just the same thing. Like, there's one episode that's about how Bean does sort of long for a romantic connection, but as soon as any boys in town find out she's the princess, they hightail it much to their own deaths, because they often leap out the window. And there's, like, that kind of works. There's another point where Bean's shenanigans get her sent to a convent, where the sign actually says, like, Our Lady of Perpetual Chastity, and then right underneath says, Live Prude Girls. The village town, Dreamland at one point has a sign saying, how many village idiots it has. So there is some humor, but then it starts to, as the series goes on, it starts to skew a little bit darker. You find out that Avdol and the wizard Sorcermeyer, they have a secret society, and first it's kind of a goofy secret society where, basically just sex purposes. But then later you start to find out there's a bit more to this. Again, there's always a little bit more to it, and the darkness starts to skew more. At one point, it's discovered that Elfo is not a true elf. He is only half elf, but we don't find anything out about his mother as he returns to his village. And in the midst of this, the Dreamland people attack the elf people, and the elf people have to go back into hiding. Unfortunately, in the midst of this, Elfo is shot and dies. However, in an earlier part, as Bean entered the Elf Kingdom, she accidentally cut one of the guards, and she has some of his blood, a part of that guard's blood, on a handkerchief, and she uses that blood to place into this pendant that should allow for immortality to be bestowed. But instead of reviving Elfo, she chooses to revive her mother, Dagmar. And it's revealed that Dagmar was actually behind the assassination attempt, but Bean secretly switched the wine goblets around, so Dagmar wound up ingesting her own poison instead. Dagmar has bigger plans for Bean and is plotting to take her away as she floods the entire kingdom of Dreamland with a substance that turns everyone to stone. Also, Luci gets captured once more by the exorcist, Big Joe, who appears a few more times throughout the series. And Elfo's corpse is washed out to sea, where someone else finds it and prepares to do something. So like I said, I think this is actually meant to skew darker than Futurama and maybe be a little more serious and not be as goofy. And in case you're wondering, I did hear about the Futurama Easter egg. I did not see it. I was taking a note during the point that it actually happened. I had to catch it later on YouTube. But yeah, I think people were a little too hard on this. I was actually rather interested in this. If you didn't like it after the first few episodes, I would say maybe watch the whole first season. See where it actually starts to build towards things, and that's where I would really follow through on that. I would actually, well, not first season, part one. They like Netflix half to the season, like the other half is coming in early 2019. So yeah, I would actually give Disenchantment Part 1 a B. Okay, so after this, there's going to be another video up pretty soon. I'll be reviewing She-Ra and the Princesses of Power Season 1. So then after that, it will be the Into the Spider-Verse review and then the Daredevil Yellow review, which I'm just in the early scripting stages on. See you all next time. Hey guys, is there a movie you want me to tackle? If it's some stinker like Baywatch or the Emoji Movie or something else, check out my Patreon at Sleepy Time for Cat Productions. See how you can make that happen.